Welcome to today's episode of Decentralized TV. Is your browsing activity private? Probably not. Do you use a VPN that you signed up for because an influencer told you that VPN could be trusted? Well, it turns out that a lot of VPNs are actually owned by the same people who use it to find blackmail material on people. And so there's really only one VPN company that I recommend, and that's called VP.net. And they have some powerful new technology that makes their VPN even more bulletproof. And we'll be joined today by the chief marketing officer from that company to talk about it. But first, we're going to bring in my co-host, Todd Pittner. Welcome, Todd. And it's the human
Mike.
Todd, right? This is not your avatar today?
The avatar has left the building.
Okay.
With Elvis.
I'm going to ask you to prove it. Like, hold up 3 fingers, something. I'm going to make you do a magic trick.
I only have five fingers, Mike.
Okay. All right. You're human. All right. So Todd, do you use a VPN?
I do.
Okay. That's good. Because you do a lot of nefarious browsing, I would assume. Huh?
You know what? Just don't look at my browser history, and then I won't have to make you disappear.
Okay. No, you are a magician, by the way.
Yeah. I have the most boring browser history, I swear. It's all about interview prep.
You're looking up our guests is what you're looking up. Yeah, because you do great research.
95% of the time.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and bring in our guest today because this is the first time that we're able to meet him and talk with him, but it's Chris Miller, the Chief Marketing Officer with VP.net with some new tech. So welcome, Chris. It's great to have you on today.
Thanks so much. Glad to be here.
It's great to have you here. That is a very bright white background.
Yes, it is. Yeah, this is a new setup. We got to get something going on back there.
Okay, no, it's all fine. It's fine. It's just it's not distracting at all. That's great. So tell us a little bit about VP.net for those who don't yet know about it and what you have new that we're going to talk about today.
For sure. Well, VP.net was started by a guy named Andrew Lee, and formerly he founded Private Internet Access, which was one of the biggest VPNs out there. That started way back in 2010. So he was kind of out there before most of the big players are in the market right now. And I actually worked with him back then too. And he always had the same idea of building this VPN that was impenetrable, that there was no way to find any information on people. And, we were one of the first ones that were brought into court multiple times and had to prove that we actually didn't log people. So, we had the trust of people, but then we started seeing situations with other companies where they were being compelled to change their infrastructure, forced to log people. And we realized, we're susceptible to that too. We use the same type of infrastructure. All the VPNs were basically using the same type of setup. So that was, the idea right back then was we got to find a way to build a VPN that's not possible. So, this idea actually went way, way, way back to probably 2015, 2016. And weren't able to build it at the time. The technology just wasn't there yet. So fast forward and Andrew had figured out a way to actually do it, after it sold PIA years later, figured out a way to do that using Intel SGX technology, where you can actually run the whole VPN inside these secure hardware enclaves. And this technology was actually designed specifically for the banking industry and for the legal industry, the medical industry, for the most sensitive data possible. And, the idea is that the CPU has a special hardware space inside it that no one else can access. Even the operating system of the server can't see what's going on inside there. Only the CPU gets access to it. And the CPU encrypts it, and only the CPU has the keys to that encryption as well.
Wow.
So by running the VPN inside that, we can't even access it. So
does this require then special CPUs with virtualization technology or something like that?
Yeah, it's they're trusted execution environments. So it's using specifically. Yep, Intel SGX is the one that we're using now, but the technology we have, the patent extends to all of the different ones. So we're planning to add AMD SEV as well. So we have, we're not dependent on any one type of manufacturer.
Okay.
But so the idea, yep.
So in other words, all the servers that your company has that are running this VPN, they have to run this virtualization protected environment to handle the VPN traffic. Is that what you're saying?
Yep. Yeah, it's one of the challenges is that there's a limited pool of servers to work with, and they're also a lot more expensive. So it's
I see.
Running a VPN this way is a lot more complicated. In addition to that, the other VPNs, if something goes wrong, they have, 10 different scripts and apps running inside the VPN that can tell them exactly what went wrong. We don't do any of that, and we can't possibly do that. The hardware doesn't allow for that. So if something goes wrong, like, we have to actually figure it out the old school way and like sit there and keep tinkering with it and try to break it ourselves and try to replicate the issue. So from the get-go, every single stage of doing it this way is much more complicated, but it's the only way possible to actually guarantee that the customers are secure. Because the way our apps, every single time you connect, it verifies that the code on the server matches the code that we have published publicly. And anybody else can actually do this process themselves, and they can actually build the whole build themselves and verify the hash that everything matches to see that the code inside the enclave is exactly what we say it is. And if the app tries to connect and the code doesn't match, it just won't connect. Wow. So right now, there's no way to possibly log. And the only way that anybody could make it log would be to actually change the code inside the enclave, which would instantly make every app stop connecting to it. So it's basically like a hardware level, tamper-proof kill switch, so that if anybody, because that was the other issue, was that some of the authorities would go right into a data center and work with the server that way, or pull the server out and go dump the memory out of that. And like a lot of VPNs, they use we use RAM-only servers, and they pretend like that actually keeps you safe. But the truth is, like, for over a decade, the authorities have had this a system where they go in and it's a thing that clamps down right onto the power cable of the server, and it has 6 pins that cut right into the power cable into the right locations and immediately transfer power over into a UPS battery backup. So they can then unplug the server and take it to a secure location, and all of that data is still sitting in the RAM, and then they can dump the RAM and get all the information they want.
Wow.
And the VPNs have known this for years. They're just banking on the fact that you don't know that, so that you'll think that actually keeps you safe. But again, if they do that to us, they still can't get into the enclave, so it doesn't matter. And then, we took it a step further, too, is that there's the whole architecture is a split architecture, so that the VPN accounts and then the actual VPN activity are perfectly and completely split and can never be correlated back to each other. So that way, even if in some amazing way they're able to break through the enclave, and then they're also able to break through WireGuard's, post-quantum encryption, then they still won't be able to figure out what information goes to which user account. So, that's the whole thing, is putting in multiple fail-safes along the way, so that, because you just don't know what's going to happen. And that way, wherever they're coming in at you, you're protected.
So this is a really hardened VPN at multiple layers, which you just described some of them. But, I was thinking, Todd, a lot of VPNs don't even pretend to be secure. They log everything. And then when they're subpoenaed by law enforcement, they just hand over the logs. I mean, there have been court cases like that.
Yeah, it's the digital equivalent of, a good VPN, at least they close the bathroom door, and these other VPNs, they have a transparent door. And they're like, says, come on in,
Yeah. So Matt, and it's not that, we're not encouraging anybody to do anything illegal, but we're facing a time now in the United States. We just interviewed a Google whistleblower who said the U.S. government's probably going to outlaw access to open source AI models for Americans. So we're going to have to use VPNs to bypass the Great Wall of America to get to like Chinese models. You know what I mean? Yeah. How crazy is that?
Not VPNs, VP.nets, right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you're aware of this, but there was actually a time in this country not too long ago where you could get deplatformed just for asking questions about certain health issues.
Really?
Yeah. You might know a thing or two about that.
I might know about that. Yeah.
But
Tell me about that.
That's the thing. Like, you don't necessarily have to be a criminal for this to affect you. You know what I mean? People get censored all the time just for speaking out and telling the truth. You know what I mean? So if people can't speak the truth online, or people can't access things without having all of their information taken on them, then like, we don't really have a free internet anymore. And it's a huge problem for so many different reasons, especially now with age verification laws. They're pushing on everybody all over the place, and all these different laws where they just want to collect as much information as they can about everybody. And, that all comes down to where are you located. So, that's the core of what a VPN does, is say that you're located somewhere else. And like, sadly, we live in this age where your access to the internet is based on where you were born or where you happen to live right now. And it's, even when you live in a quote free country, you still may not have free access to the internet because of which state you were born in, for example. It's just a strange situation we're in.
Wow, Todd, this you can see where this is going, right? I mean, the clampdown and the censorship that's getting even worse, even under this current administration.
Well, one thing, Chris, VP.net, that's very important, VP.net, to make sure our viewers, I want to talk to you about dissent and what it actually is. Mm-hmm. So I want you to educate our viewers. To make sure that our viewers, they don't hear censorship-proof VPN and think it means a VPN just wearing a fake mustache, is the basic idea of dissent that dissent looks like normal web traffic, so censors can't block it without breaking a bunch of other normal websites. Is that the idea?
Yep, that's exactly it. Like most of these anti-censorship tools are based on trying to hide the traffic, which only works for a very short period of time. And then once they figure it out, they just block those IPs, which cost them literally nothing. But the problem is for the censorship tool, it costs them a lot to go get a new pool of IPs and to can constantly keep rotating them. So it's a losing game. There's no way to win that. If it costs you a lot and it costs them nothing, you're going to lose every single time. So we're like, what if we go the complete opposite direction? Instead of trying to hide, what if we're right out in the open, but we're mixed in with all of the other traffic? So, right now we're using the Cloudflare infrastructure, which powers about 20% of the entire internet. And if you get into the top websites, like the top 10% of websites, it's over 30%. So, we're talking a lot of the most important websites in the world are using Cloudflare. And not only, they can't block it because their own infrastructure is even using it. So, in order to block that, you're blocking all of these different websites.
So you're basically saying, go ahead, bring it on, block us, but you're taking the mall, the bank, and grandma's recipe blog with you.
Exactly. Right. Like this was actually, so there was something called domain fronting, which was a similar concept years ago that worked extremely, extremely well. And it was just basically using the CDN networks, but it was using a different technology, and it got blocked back then by Amazon Web Services and Google. But it was like the only really effective anti-censorship thing. So it's basically doing that thing without doing it in the way that was violating things and getting into trouble, and just using it through like the normal Anycast servers. So it's functioning just like a website behind Cloudflare, just like any other site. So in order to effectively block that at the network level, you have to block 20% of the internet with it. But the important thing too is it's Cloudflare right now, but the technology is designed so that we can add in additional CDNs in the future. So eventually we could have multiple different CDN paths. So even if one location does actually block Cloudflare, then we can use a different one that, like Akamai or something that's using another 30% of the internet. So eventually gets to the point they would have to block almost the entire internet in order to block it.
Yeah, I was wondering if sorry, Mike, I'll just book in this. I was wondering, does relying on Cloudflare create a centralization problem? Because we, of course, have a decentralization audience. And what stops Cloudflare, Amazon, Fastly, and others from saying, nope, not on our infrastructure?
Yeah, that's absolutely a risk. The first thing that you're speaking of is just using Cloudflare. Yeah, we outline that in our white paper, and that's definitely the first thing that needs to be addressed, is having other providers available. There is, of course, the risk that they could potentially block us. The reason it's different than domain fronting is that we're using their service the way it's intended, essentially. So it's not using any tricks or workarounds to make it work. So we're not technically violating their terms of service. And, right at the beginning of our white paper, we actually, thank the CEO of Cloudflare for developing this type of infrastructure, because it does already on its own does allow parts of the internet to reach people that wouldn't ordinarily be able to reach it. So just on its own, Cloudflare is already in some ways a anti-censorship tool. Right. And we're just sort of taking that benefit and extending that even further.
Excellent.
Yeah, and let me second that, because even this website, decentralized.tv, is served through Cloudflare.
Yep.
And Cloudflare has never given us any kind of censorship hassles, which is really saying something. I think there may have been one or two cases in history over the last 10 years, I don't know, involving like Nazi sites or illegal sites or something. I don't know the whole history, but they've they haven't messed with us, and we are usually one of the first to get censored off of any platform, right? So but we're good faith actors. We're pro humanity, pro truth, pro freedom. So of course nobody should censor us, but they, obviously Google and YouTube and whatever they still do. But what I want to ask Chris is that this technology, you call it Dissent. I just want to understand, is Dissent the name of the feature that is part of every VP.net service? Or is Dissent a separate product? Or what is that?
It's actually a completely separate app that we have for all the platforms that VP.net is available for. But it's not a separate account. It's for free for anybody who uses VP.net. And you can log in using your VP.net account. But the way it works is that your VP.net account generates these blind signed tokens inside the enclave. So it can authenticate the fact that you have paid or that you have an account, but it can't tell us Dissent who you are or which account it is. So Dissent can only tell that you're allowed to use it, and that's it. So that's the first thing. It separates it completely by doing it this way. So Dissent has no way of knowing who the customer is that's actually using it. So that's the first step, which is, actually adds a lot to the privacy side of things. From there, it's ordinary TLS goes out to Cloudflare's edge, which like just the same one that's powering a fifth of the internet. And then from there, it goes out to a regional server egresses for using a token that is completely anonymized. So using a hybrid post-quantum encryption. And it's so that way, if in the future, if there are a post-quantum computer that's actually able to break through the encryption, there's still the second layer of encryption there. So if either one still exists, you're still protected. And again, that final server has no way of knowing even which Dissent user was using it. And again, Dissent has no way of knowing which VP.net user it is. Okay. So the whole idea is it breaks the chain multiple times along the way, so each chain can't see further ahead or behind than the one chain before or ahead of it.
I'm so glad you talked about that, because that's one of my important questions. Is that we see advancements in quantum computing. We see 105 qubit systems from Google and Microsoft and whoever. But that's still far from the number of logical qubits that they would need to break the kind of encryption you're talking about. But I want to ask you about your second layer, because one of the concerns is that the NSA hoovers up all the packets and traffic right now, and then years later retroactively decrypts the stuff they hoovered up today. So you've already talked about this. How does your technology resist future decryption of today's packets?
Yeah, that the harvest now, decrypt later. That's the big concern, and that's why we've added like post-quantum encryption to everything that we do. And like right now, we're using it's X25519 MLChem 768. So it's really complicated, but it's basically the best that we have at this point, and it's considered to be quantum safe based on what we know at this point. So it's the best that we have currently today, and by any account that anybody out there thinks, it's most likely going to be safe through quantum computing. As time goes on and technology improves, we'll of course go on to that as well. But for right now, it's the best that you can have, essentially.
Did you see that Trump signed 2 executive orders about quantum computing? One of those is about defense against quantum breaking.
Yep.
So, are you confident that protocol you mentioned, which I'm not familiar with it, that it's very resistant in ways that even the White House is talking about are needed for military encryption and banking and things like that?
Yeah, for sure. It's the best that we have right now. It isn't currently the standard yet. There's actually like a whole fight going on about whether or not it should be the standard or not, which is, we actually have a guest coming on our show this Saturday to talk about that, who's part of the IETF list. But it's currently the strongest thing that we have out there. So as of right now, it's the best that we have. And according to everybody that's looking at it, they believe that this is going to be strong and will hold against the harvest decrypt later kind of things that they have going on at this point. So nobody knows what the future is, but as of right now, as far as anybody knows, this is the way to go.
Were you aware of that, Todd, that the NSA is hoovering up everything right now, hoping to decrypt it later?
Mm-hmm. So if data was cocaine, they're snorting it all up their nose.
They're crackheads, yeah. They're cokeheads.
Figure it out later.
That's for sure. But I mean, you must have questions about crypto and traffic and VPNs, using crypto through VPNs, things like that, right?
I do. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I'm thinking. Go for it, Todd.
Yeah. Well, VPNet's broader pitch is don't trust, verify, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But let's be honest. Most people see open source and think, cool, someone else smarter than me is going to check into that, right? They're just going to presume. What can an ordinary user actually verify?
Yeah, well, there's multiple layers. The first one, like I was saying, is every single time you connect, the app is going to verify that the server hasn't been tampered with. So that the server, in that case, you still have to trust that, like, the server that the code that we've published publicly, you have to trust that somebody hasn't looked at that to notice that it hasn't changed or anything. But the app itself is going to verify that every time you connect. So as soon as you hit the button to connect, the app is going to check the code on the server using attestation. It's going to verify that code matches our public repository that anybody can look at and verify. So if it doesn't, it will refuse to connect. So that way, like, you don't have to be a tech guru to understand that. Literally, it won't connect, and it'll tell you there's a problem here. So that's the thing. Like, it will automatically raise a red flag to every single user. Secondly, you can click a button in the app and it'll open up to a verification page on the website that will show you all the information about the enclave. It'll tell you the name, the ID of the enclave. It'll tell you when it was launched, how long it's been online, and it will show you the cryptographic hash there as well. And then you can use that cryptographic hash you can compile the enclave code yourself and then compare the hash to see that it's actually matches exactly. So there's three different, there's multiple different stages depending on, like, your technical level, all the way up to, like, you can literally build a copy of our enclave yourself and prove that it matches the one that we're using.
So you can't log me if I'm using VP.net, right?
No, it's not possible.
And so let me ask you a broader question. Will prove you can't log me replace trust us, bro, we don't log you as the new privacy standard?
I mean, it should. I mean, it's people have been using the same technology since, like, 2010 for VPN, and it's hard because it's surprising to me that, like, no one else has tried to move past that, really. Like, no, everybody is still using the same thing. Like, even Proton. I just saw an interview with the CEO of Proton, and, like, they're lauded all over the place as one of the best privacy companies, which is insane. But and he was still saying that, like, the reason why you should use us is because you can trust us. And I'm like,
right.
That's still the pitch? Like,
I think that's great. That from the first interview, and people should go back. We did interview. Goodness, Mike, you have a better memory than me.
Matt.
Andy.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Matt Kim.
Yep, and it was a great interview. So that was when that was at the point in time I'm like, okay, I need VP.net. So I really appreciate that, and I think people need to also really investigate VP.net and get it.
Well, let me mention, we have been, since we interviewed Matt Kim a while ago, we are an affiliate of VP.net because it's the only VPN service that I personally recommend. So here it is. If you go to rangerdeals.com, it says VP.net. You have to scroll down a few rows here. We have a few partners, and then you can just click on shop and it takes you over to VP.net with our affiliate link. Gives us a little bit of credit here at the show. Although, we're not sponsored by VP.net. We don't get paid anything, not even for this interview. We're not asking for that. We're just, I recommend this because I believe it's the most trusted, most secure system that exists, period.
Right.
I mean, that's why. I want our audience to have their privacy, right? Mm-hmm. What do you think, Chris?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. That's a funny thing. Like, our whole goal from the beginning is to get people to not trust us, which sounds weird, but, like, that's the whole, is we're trying to change people's whole thinking on this and say, no, trust isn't good enough when it comes to your privacy. You need to be able to verify that they're actually doing what they say they can. Yeah. And the funny thing is, by saying that, a lot of people will tell us, like, you're the only one we trust. And, and I was like, that's the weirdest thing. We're telling you don't trust us. Why does everybody keep saying, but I thought about it, and, like, somebody keeps saying to you, trust me, you can trust me. It's cool. like every time they say trust me, like you trust them a little bit less. You're like, why do you keep saying trust me, man? Like you're freaking me out. So it's like by saying the opposite of that, I think it's actually made people trust us more. And but again, like when you can actually check and see that yourself that like we're doing what we say we're doing, like it's just a lot easier to trust somebody,
Well, yeah,
and
but Chris, let me add this though too, and you're free to comment on this, of course, but I've seen other VPN services offered at prices that are so low that I know they're run by the intelligence services. They're honeypot traps, and they're making the price really low, and they will pay like 50% payouts to their affiliates. So a lot of these influencers on YouTube are getting 50% for a product that's priced below its cost to function because it's hoovering up everybody's data. It's an intelligence operation to get blackmail material. It's like a digital Epstein files operation to get material on people. I mean, it's obvious. I mean,
it's actually worse than that. Like there are VPNs that will actually pay out $150 CPA for a single sale. And like the sale might be $50 or $100. So it's like you're losing money on every sign up. Like there's obviously something going on there,
Yes.
And that's just the affiliate rate, but it's
that's
fishy. Well, many VPNs sell privacy while collecting data, using trackers, and relying on vague no-log promises, right? And I mean, that's what I like about VP.net is you're saying, don't trust us, verify, bring it. So what should people demand from every VPN provider before trusting them? Except just come to VP.net.
I mean, like, just give people a way to prove it. Like, to build an infrastructure that is zero knowledge. Like if your infrastructure is built in a way that it's at all possible to collect information and correlate it to a user, then even if you're not doing that, somebody else can. Either authorities can come in and compel you to do it or do it themselves by seizing the server at a data center, or a hacker can get in there and do it, which is something that's happened before. There's been situations where hackers got into a VPN and released the logs of a quote no logs VPN, and here was all the VPN activity of all of their users, Wow. And like, that's the problem. If your privacy is quote protected by a policy, like it's not really protected. And Proton Mail always said that we won't log your IP address. And then in like 2017, the French authorities came to them and said, we want you to log the IP address of this climate activist. So they just went to the website and deleted that line. And that was it. That was their notice to the world, is they just deleted that line of text off the website. Wow. And some people, once the case came out, people were like, hey, but your website says, wait, it used to say that. What happened? And they realized, for months now, they may have been logging your IP address. And like, that was it. Your privacy was just protected by a line on a website that it was just one button to click and delete it, So
your argument is don't trust the country, don't trust the company, verify the machine, right?
Yeah.
And the code.
Verify the code, and that it's doing what it says it's doing.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you about payment for your service, because of course, I never recommend that people use their own credit cards in their names to purchase VPN services, even though that's the most common method. And I don't even know what other payment options do you offer customers?
We do have options like cryptocurrency, a bunch of different options, and you can use gift card payments and things like that. What we want to add to it is our other company, Bmail, which is encrypted email. We have used the double blind voucher payment system for cryptocurrency. So in that way, there's no possible way to ever verify it. So that's something that we're looking to add to VP.net as well and move that whole infrastructure over.
Okay, wait, what's the URL for Bmail? Is it just like it sounds?
It's bmail.ag.
.ag.
Yep.
Okay. Wow. Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because this is something we'd like to talk about. So,
sure.
Proton Mail is very popular, but we don't know who's behind it exactly or what their policies are. You mentioned some of that. Tell us about Bmail.
Yeah.
So Bmail is basically just, miles ahead of every other email service that's ever existed. Wow. So we used the similar technology, the Intel SGX technology, and we moved the entire SMTP pipeline into that. So when an email arrives, it arrives inside that encrypted enclave that we can't access. So we're the only VPN in the world where even if you get an email from a plain text email provider like Gmail, we can't even read that because it's arriving inside the secure enclave, inside the encrypted memory. So every other, like with Proton, for example, if you send an email to Gmail account or somebody with a Gmail account emails you, well, they have access to that in plain text. And like the other thing that they don't like to talk about is even if you're emailing an encrypted email to another encrypted provider, there's actually a plain text gap because it starts out encrypted with the sender's key, but the recipient can't read it. They have to have it encrypted with their key. But in order to do that, Proton Mail has to decrypt it with the sender key and then encrypt it with the receiver key.
Wow.
So there's that gap in the middle where your email is sitting there in plain text. And that's the problem. All the other encrypted email providers have that same problem and always have. And that's where it can get logged and get scanned. Like some of them use AI to look at your emails and things like that. Some do spam filtering, things like that. But I mean, essentially, like, and they call it end-to-end encrypted, but it's not. There's a moment where it's not actually encrypted. So I mean, that's the problem. A chain's only as strong as its weakest link. And if the weakest link is just a plain text email, then like your service is no better than the plain text email. You know,
That's mind-boggling.
Wow.
no, so ours, that's all happening inside the enclave. So just like them, we have to decrypt the email and then re-encrypt it. But that whole process is happening inside the enclave, which is encrypted by the CPU that we can't access. So even if the authorities are like, hey, give us that, like, we can't. It's physically not possible. Nobody has access to that.
Wow. So what I'm on the website bmail.ag. What is this BIMIL word?
BIML is a Korean word for secret.
Oh, that means secret.
So it's secret mail, basically.
Okay. I'm just not familiar with that term. Is that a common term in the privacy?
It's a Korean term. No, Andrew has Korean heritage, so.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
B-mail means secret?
No, BIML, BIMIL.
Oh, okay.
BIMIL.
Yeah, B-mail is just sort of like a stylized version of that makes more sense to
Oh, okay.
Western speakers.
Got it. And the .ag, what country is that? Where does that come
Antigua,
from?
I believe.
Where?
I believe it's Antigua.
Oh, Antigua. Okay. I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm just curious. That's really interesting. Okay. So
What's really cool with B-mail is like I said, we have the option to do those double blind crypto voucher payments, but like, you know, my mom is never, ever going to do that. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people they're not going to get involved with crypto. That's too much for them. So they want to use like the easy option, which is Stripe, and have it automatically deducted from their credit card every month.
Right.
Which has the obvious problem of now it's connected to payment information. So what we've developed is this thing called fake ID, which is essentially an alias that gets created using the double blind voucher system. So it basically creates a new completely anonymous email account that you can use that can't be connected back to your account, which means it can't be connected to any payment information. So even like if you're like literally, it's just a couple buttons to click. You put in the email address you want to use and then create your account, and that's it. So my mom can do that and can actually create an email account that has no connection to her payment information. Because like that's the way a lot of times these things happen. Like Proton Mail, you know, and just recently, 2021, there was the Stop Cop City activists, and they handed over the IP addresses to somebody. I think it was that one, or maybe no, I'm sorry, that one was the payment information. I'm sorry. And that's the thing. Like people will use a VPN or use an email program, and they just pay for it with the regular credit card. So it's already connected to your identity. So if there's any way for them to log or figure out anything, then they've got everything they need about you. So we developed a way that you can create this hidden email alias that cannot be connected back to that payment information.
okay, that's cool. Gosh, Todd, we haven't had fake IDs since high school, right? So, but on this, then you mentioned gift cards earlier. For a lot of people, that's a great way to make payments. You go buy a gift card with cash at a retailer, and then you can use a gift card. Can gift cards be used to pay for B-mail?
To be honest, I don't think that's set up on B-mail yet. No.
But it is set up on vp.net?
Yep. So that's another way you can go do it anonymously.
And what kind of like just common gift cards like Best Buy and Walmart or whatever, or what is it?
Yeah, there's a listing on the website. I can go in there and check them out. I don't know off the top of my head, but I know some of the most common ones are all in there.
What
I think
about
it changes over
what
time.
types of crypto do you support? Like Monero or privacy coins?
There's a bunch. To be honest, like what surprised me is that the crypto payments haven't actually been very common, which was surprising to me. And but
that is surprising.
Yeah, for some reason, like crypto hasn't been a big thing, but
so most people just pay with
them.
credit cards.
Yeah, most people, it's the convenience factor. They want it to be deducted. And like the thing with like VP.net is it doesn't really matter because if your user account and thus payment information is in a split architecture, it's completely separated from your VPN activity. So and then again, your VPN activity is all inside the enclave. So like, it doesn't really matter. You know?
I see what you mean. Yeah, but
the only reason why it would matter is
a transaction record that a person did buy some service from you. By the way, in a related topic, I saw on Amazon.com somebody is selling intermittent fasting food bars. So you can actually eat you eat fasting bars now. So instead of fasting, you're eating, but they're called fasting bars. That to me, that's like using a credit card to buy a VPN. You know what I mean? I mean, I hope that's not weird that I say that, because it just seems like if you're privacy centric, you would not use a credit card to purchase any of it. I mean,
it depends. There's a lot of people have like different use cases and different reasons. Like if you live in a country where you're not allowed to use a VPN, or you just using one can get you in trouble, then definitely don't. You don't use a credit card. You know what I mean? You want to hide that as much as you can. But if you're somewhere where like you're legally allowed to, and just having people know that you're using a VPN is not a concern to you or not a risk to you, then it doesn't really matter. As long as, like I said, it's a VPN that the activity itself can't be connected to the VPN, to your user account.
Got it.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense. Different tiers. All right. Yeah. Wow. Well, by the way, in the interest of time here, I know you're on a tight schedule too. We're just about up on time here for you. Todd, is there anything else you want to ask our guest?
Yeah. So are the authoritarian governments out there going to hate VP.net? And if so, isn't that just basically a 5-star review?
Oh, absolutely. For sure. Oh, real quick though, I got a few minutes on with Bmail. It's actually expanded a lot. It started out with just email. And then of course we wanted people to be able to encrypt their contact list as well, because you might not want people to know who you're talking to. And then we added a calendar too and made that encrypted as well. And, and actually it encrypts all of the metadata. And that's the thing with Proton Mail and a lot of these other ones, they don't encrypt the metadata on stuff. So like if you're trying to figure out if somebody was working with somebody and you can't read the email, but you can see that they wrote to that person on that day at that time, then you know that they were working with them. Like you don't actually need the body of the email in that situation. So that's the thing. If you don't encrypt the metadata, you can piece together a lot about somebody's life just from knowing who they're talking to and when they're talking and how often. So all that stuff's encrypted because it's all in the enclave. But so we also do that with the calendar. All the metadata is encrypted for that, because a lot of them that don't. So if somebody can see all of the guests that are joining your meetings, the name of what the meeting is about, with the times and dates and stuff, like that could be very potentially sensitive information that shouldn't get out. So all that gets encrypted as well. And now we just added Bmail Meet as well, which is video conferencing, video chat like Google Meet or whatever.
Really?
That's all encrypted as well. Yeah, we just added that one like in the last couple of weeks. So,
whoa, is that also bmaileat.ag?
Yep. Or it's just bmail.ag. It's all included with the Bmail account.
Okay. Oh wow.
And we have a bundle too.
Yeah. Here's the five.
We have a bundle that gets you. Gets your VP.net, gets you Descent, gets you Bmail with Meet, calendar, email, all that.
So the meeting, it's video conferencing like Zoom?
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
And it was like screen share, what a really neat thing. The screen share, you can let just you or other people can have like a laser pointer basically. So they get a colored dot so they can point out things on your screen share, or they can even use a pen and draw right on the screen that you're sharing, which is really cool. And then there's a whiteboard where people can like upload images, use text, draw things on there. So for collaborating with people, it's really cool. And there's like a pop-out window. So you can have the video chat open on one. You can have a chat screen open on another one. You can have the whiteboard open on another. You can even have two people sharing screens at the same time and switch back and forth between them, or look at both of them at the same time. Like it's really built with a lot of collaboration in mind and being able to actually like get things done, and as opposed to just talk to people.
That's
so
amazing.
Really cool.
I'm going to take a deep dive into that, Mike. With all
me too. Yeah, I'll check that out.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, very cool. I'm really glad you mentioned Bmail because I wasn't even aware of that service. So that's awesome.
And you can actually, you can start out, you can get an account for free. But then you can upgrade and get 15 gigabytes of storage, and you can add more storage later if you want to.
Wow. That's
Let me ask
cool.
one practical question. Like if you went to, your grocery store and you got a Visa for cash, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you paid for the service, then obviously you don't have auto renewal with that, right? So you probably pay for an annual subscription, and then you guys give plenty of notice to people prior to.
It shows in your account. People don't really like when you email them a lot, especially like privacy service. So we try to keep the emails to a minimum.
Yeah, I understand, but at the same time, like we're all busy, and I'm not really paying attention to when my subscription's going to expire. So I'd want to be informed so I could go to the grocery store and buy another gift card so that I could get my next year's. So,
well, I think what Todd is asking is you don't just immediately shut off somebody's service if their subscription expires, right? Is there some kind of period where maybe they can still log in, but they can't send emails or something?
Well, like with Bmail, they go into like a waiting period. And if you're over the limit of storage for a free account, then like you won't be able to do anything until you bring the storage limit down below then. But it won't delete your account for like a pretty long time. I forget the amount, but it's a long time. If you start an account and you never pay for it, but you keep it below the storage limit, like you just use it for free indefinitely.
I'm thinking of heavy users though, right? So people who will maximize what they can get from you, I'd probably fall into that category with my business. So I just want to know when I have to go to the grocery store to get another gift card, because I don't want to use a credit card for the service.
For sure. Yeah, honestly, I don't think we're sending an email on that one, but that's something that we could take into consideration. I know it shows in the account screen where.
But is it like the account that I'm going to visit, like on to where I'm going to see when I go into wherever I go, my dashboard, or what?
Yeah, it's just right in the settings. And again, like it's not like you're going to log in one day and we're going to be like, you're dead to us. Like there'll be a grace period to give you a chance to take care of it. So
okay,
we don't want to like lock anybody out of their life, nothing like that.
Yeah,
right.
Okay,
but you'll need to go, Todd. You need to go buy another like Visa card for cash.
Right. Exactly.
Every year or whatever it is, whatever time.
Yeah, I think I'll just put it in my calendar. A week before.
Yeah, your encrypted calendar.
My encrypted calendar, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, perfect. I'm glad we found out about this. That's really cool. And I love how you're making it as convenient as possible, because people get stuck when it becomes too complicated, right?
Yeah.
And it's the convenience. I still can't believe how many people use Gmail, and I yell at them like, don't even send me email from Gmail because you're creating a link. So stop it. And I actually tell everybody I will not open any email from Gmail, period. And yet people still send me Gmail because they're like, well, it's the one I've always used. Is that, well, find a new way to use email.
Did you see recently Proton announced some new app, a connector where you can connect your Gmail account to your Proton mail account?
What?
I was like,
why would you want to do that?
Have you completely lost the plot?
Yeah.
Their whole business started out on don't use Google, and now you're connecting to Google.
Okay, let me ask one last question here because I'm being practical. So if I get Bmail and it comes with Bmail meeting and all of that, is there an app for my phone to where, okay, so if I open that up, I'll have my calendar in there, right? So, okay, I just want to make sure.
This is one of my favorite things about it. So like Google, cool, they have all these services. Like I want to use my calendar. Okay, well, let me find my calendar app. Okay, now I need my mail. Well, let me go find my mail app. Oh, now I need to do a meet. Now let me go find my Email, it's one app. Everything is all in there, and you can switch between the apps while you're in a meeting and still keep talking to people. So you can go check your email in the same window and even have a pop out like a picture-in-picture window of the meeting while you're doing that. So you can still keep working while you're in the video chat and not miss a beat.
And please tell me that by saying an app, it's not just dedicated to desktop. It can be on my phone.
Yep, we got iOS and Android already.
Okay.
I know what I'm doing this weekend.
Yep, exactly. All right. Me too. That's awesome. All right. Well, Chris, keep us posted. You know, of course,
Absolutely.
we're strong advocates of your tech, and we love our audience to find new ways to protect their privacy. So keep us posted, and if there's anything that we can share with our audience, let us know. And you're also welcome to come back and share it here, or you could even come back with a demonstration,
That would be
like
great.
a share screen, and you could show people
Sure.
how to use things.
Absolutely. There's
Okay.
one thing, if you don't mind, if anybody's like interested in like the encryption that's actually powering the internet, we have this show Saturday at Hide and Speak we're doing on YouTube that we have Daniel J. Bernstein, who I call the godfather of modern encryption. He invented basically all of the encryption that powers our services, WireGuard, Signal, iOS, like Linux, like basically the internet SSL, like HTTPS websites. He's the guy that like designed those encryption protocols.
Wow.
He's an absolute genius.
Let's get him on, Mike.
Yeah, and he's basically in a war right now with the standards group, the IETF mailing list, who decides which encryptions that we use and which standards get put forth. And basically, it's his belief that the NSA is offering large contracts to the people on that list to get them to advocate for the weaker encryption protocols to make those the standards to make all of us less secure. So it's then easier for the NSA to get control of our data. So he's basically fighting these people, and they've been like, they banned him at one point. They gave him like a timeout essentially in the list, and they're fighting him and literally changed the rules to say that asking too many questions or asking for evidence of something is rules for getting banned from the list. And again, like this is the man who built the encryption that's keeping us all safe. Like as they're sitting there arguing with him, they are currently being protected by the protocols that he invented. And you know, I mean, it's just wild.
Where do we find that on YouTube that we can go watch?
Just on our YouTube channel. It's YouTube. Our name is VPNet_official.
Okay.
And it's this Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern.
All right, we'll check that out. And if you don't mind, pass along the word that we'd love to interview him as well.
Absolutely.
At a later date after you do. But that sounds really fascinating. So yeah, we'll put on the screen about your YouTube channel and
Perfect,
keep us
thanks.
posted if there's anything that we can share for you, other services or announcements, things like that.
Will do.
Okay.
Again, thanks so much for having me. It's great talking to you.
Yeah,
Great
you
talking
too.
with
Thanks
you,
for
Chris.
joining us.
Really learned a lot.
Fascinating. Okay. Have a great day. And thank you so much.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
All right. That's Chris Miller, everybody, from VP.net. And of course, Todd and I will be back after this break. There's Todd again. We'll be right back after this break with the after party discussion today. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Cheers.
Join the official discussion channel for this show on Telegram at t.me/decentralizedtv, where you can ask questions or offer suggestions of who we should interview next. Also be sure to subscribe to the email newsletter on decentralized.tv, where you'll be alerted about 1 day in advance of each new upcoming episode, before it gets published. On decentralized.tv, you'll also find links to our video channels and social media channels across all platforms, including Brighteon, Rumble, BitChute, Twitter, Truth Social, and more. Check it all out at decentralized.tv. All right, welcome to the after party, everybody. And Todd, can you stand by for just 1 minute? Because I have to finish a message on my high security word processor. Are you ready?
Are you going through VP.net?
Okay, there we go. Oops, I jammed it up. I actually did jam it up. Okay. Wow. Old school, but high security, Todd.
Nobody's logging that.
Nobody's monitoring that.
Yeah.
And I can take this piece of paper and I can just put it somewhere where nobody can see it. Nobody can find it, right?
Yeah.
There we go. That is called security. And, you know, you can do a carbon copy. I mean, this is the way. The world used to be way more secure with this kind of technology, obviously.
Isn't that funny? We've come such a long way, but really, have we?
Yeah. Oh, and this thing doesn't need batteries, and it also doesn't need any electricity at all. I mean,
That's correct.
It's literally human powered.
Yeah.
It's just,
And when you're done, you can go outside and ride your bike and play with your friends. Just going in the Wayback Machine, right?
Oh.
When those existed, life was just simpler.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay. I get it. And this is a Royal brand typewriter. I don't know. It looks like it's from the
Where did you get that?
Well, interestingly, this has actually been in my family for
really?
a while. Yeah, I inherited this.
That's cool.
From, I don't know, a couple of generations ago. So I think this is from maybe the early 1960s or the late 1950s.
How cool.
Yeah, kind of cool. But you know how I love old technology anyway.
I do.
And
yeah.
I've this one, by the way, doesn't catch on fire from a power supply blowing up.
Right.
That's the advantage. Here I've got, you've seen this, you know, the old Soviet manual hand cranked calculation machine.
Yeah.
That does multiplication and division and everything. And also it does powers of 10 through this, if I could get this thing to move. Here's the hand crank on it right here. You actually crank the answers in, you know. So, and then with a typewriter and this old calculator, I tell you, when there's a solar flare, Todd, I'm all set. I can still do the computing
and speaking of
writing.
And speaking of hand cranking, I want to put you on the spot.
Okay.
You have a little cube next to you that I'd like you to crank and just make it mixed up, and then show people how you don't need electricity to solve it, Mike.
You're really putting me on the spot.
I am. Well, I am. Everybody, Mike is really, really good at Rubik's cubes, and he was playing with this before the interview, and he solved it in like a minute. But so I'm putting you on the spot, Mike.
Okay, I'm not going to do a full solve, but I will show you something that some of my favorite patterns. So go ahead and tilt it back down to the cube. So here it is solved. One of the patterns on the top is the T. Oops. So that swaps these yellow cubes in a T pattern have all been mixed up. This one down here and these. And then once you recognize this pattern, you want to solve it, you just do the same pattern again. And then that's solved. See that?
Wow. Yeah.
So there's also, there's a pattern I call Superman, which is kind of interesting.
How many patterns do you know?
Well,
or
I don't know, 60-something patterns, I guess. Here's one. So this is kind of like I don't know, which camera am I looking at? There's a single yellow one here, and then a 4 square here, and these sides look like this. So that pattern is solvable like this. And then, boom, all the yellows on top. And then this is a L pattern. It's kind of hard to show here, but just this L shape of the yellow is bad. So that pattern, that's like a right-handed L. Oh, sorry, I messed it up. because I'm standing in an awkward way.
But everybody should know that that's wisdom plus discernment and no electricity to solve that.
It's definitely no electricity. Yeah. But, you know, a few years ago, I almost severed my index finger.
I remember.
And for me, this was a rehab method for cubing, was to be able to, you know, to work the finger and do all these patterns. And then over time, you just start memorizing more and more of the different patterns and recognition and so on. But some of the solving is not patterns. It's just logic and recognition.
Yeah.
Like second layer stuff. But anyway.
Yeah, I skipped that class. So my brain doesn't do the Rubik's thing, but
you could if you wanted to spend a lot of time and learn it, you could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's just like learning the food forest stuff, you know.
That's true.
You could do it. It's all
this is not going to mean anything to you. You're going to say, "Oh, get out your violin, Todd." but I'm telling you, here in Tampa, Florida this week, it has been between 100 and 105
Oh, wow.
all week. And I've spent a fair amount of time, at least in the morning, in the food forest. And it is so hot. You just cannot believe it. It is just miserable. But,
Yeah.
sometimes you got to get out there, Mike,
Well, and there's so much healing benefit from being in the food forest, and
Oh, yeah.
and not just the light waves and the sights and sounds, but all of the smells of the grass and the soil
Yep.
and the trees and the plants.
Yeah.
And you get to visit your raccoons.
Yeah, that's in the evenings though.
Okay.
They come out and party around. Usually now it's almost like 8 o'clock p.m. before I go out there because it has to be shady back there for them to come lay down and say,
Oh.
all right, dude who feeds us, when are you coming?
Wow.
Which reminds me, after this recording, I got to go get them a bunch of grapes, and they like a certain cookie, not chocolate chip, but oatmeal and raisin. So I buy it in bulk.
Wait a minute. So it sounds like they've got you trained.
They have me trained really, really well. And the deer too. The deer now, I go back there what happens is I'll go back there and I'll call Rocky, because they're all Rockies to me. And they'll come out and they literally come up to my leg, and they're like little dogs that try to come up my leg. And so I'll start feeding them and stuff. And then that's the test that, the Bambis and Buckies use to make sure that, I'm not going to kill them or something. But the second they start feeding and they're like, that's our guy, then they come out now. And then I'll spread corn to them, and it just works. But our guy, Chris Miller, man, we learned a lot today.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't wait to go to bmail.ag. I'm serious. It's just like,
Yeah. No, I think I'll sign up and try it out too. Just see how it goes. Why not?
Why not? Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Exactly. So we'll kid test, DTV approve it, and then maybe we can have them back on. But I intend to incorporate it into my. I want to see how it might work integrating with the unincorporated nonprofit association communications.
Sure.
And also he really has me intrigued because I use Zoom to be able to talk to people. So that's why I was interested in the video conferencing, because if that is entirely private, I would rather have something that would be entirely private to be able to have these conversations. So we're going to give it a good shot, Mike.
No, I think that's great. This can serve you well and all of your clients for the UNA.
Yep, that's right.
all the customers who get that. Let me bring that up, by the way, since you mentioned that. My575e.com, right?
Yep. It is the unincorporated nonprofit association. It's a specific California established one. This is an entity that has been around for 75 years, created by California legislators for California legislators. And when Nelson Rockefeller talked about own nothing, control everything, he was talking about entities like these. This one just happens to be the easy button. And by easy button, meaning it's not complicated. But if you are a W-2 earner, a 1099 earner, if you operate an LLC, man, if you operate a business in an LLC, you definitely want to learn more about this, because we're doing some amazing things with people with businesses that are fairly complicated and complex, and we're helping them make these bulletproof to where they keep so much more of what they earn. They protect so much more of what they have, and they decrease their personal liability tremendously. Or if you own property, you trade in crypto. If you stack precious metals, you have kids, worried about your progeny, and this is a generational entity. And I just encourage people to go to my575e.com, click on Let's Go, enter your email and name, and then you get to the next page, which is a 90-minute video interview of Dennis Gray. He is the subject matter expert in this. He's 83 years old, and he's been doing this for 40 years, helping people for 40 years. And I've had my own UNA for 8 years, Mike. You know that?
Oh, yeah.
And it was been so good to me that I approached you when we first started the show. And you being Mike Adams, of course, were like, I know nothing about it, but I'm going to become an expert at it and learn from it. So you did your due diligence and came back with a thumbs up. And since then, gosh, it's been a little less than 3 years, Mike, but we're now at 700 people that I've helped acquire these with. We have a private Telegram group of 600 people, and that's where all the support is. And it's just such an amazing organic community, Mike, because they all came through our show. And if you're watching decentralized TV or Mike Adams, you just think differently than the rest of the world. And those are the type of people that are in the community. So I just invite people to learn about it through the site. And if you have any additional questions, like many people do, just simply book a private consultation with me. It's really simple. It is $150, but as everybody knows, you get that back if you move forward with the UNA. It's just that when I didn't charge anything, people didn't show up for the Zoom meeting, so that remedied that. But most people, Mike, when they do book a consultation, they move forward because I tend to be able to answer a lot of questions and plant a lot of seeds of discovery to where people are like, wow, why? Where was this 20 years ago?
Exactly.
It was there. You just didn't know about it.
All right. Very cool. That's my575e.com. And while you were talking, I went ahead and solved the cube. And I want to show you something that it's kind of a really cool move, which is the center. You see the center move?
Yep.
That's a move that only like advanced cubers do, or speed cubers. Like normal people trying to solve a cube won't even try this. And you do it with your ring finger. But
wow.
there are patterns that use it. Like watch this. So what that does is it reverses these sides on the top.
Okay.
It swaps these two and these two. You see how that looks now?
Yep.
So like if you had solved the cube to this point and you're like, oh my God, the blue is on the green and the green should be over there. How do I do that? And the answer is just this.
You use your middle finger?
There you go. You use your ring finger.
Oh, your ring finger.
And it's back. See?
Yeah.
So a lot of these movements are, very non-intuitive.
And which one of your fingers did you almost cut off?
The index, the trigger finger.
Index. Okay, so
yeah.
So you're
not even really using that for this move.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you found it helpful during your rehab, right? Using the cube?
Well, yeah. I mean, a lot of the other patterns use it a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
But
like here, take a look at this pattern. Can you show? Yeah. This is a really common one, and that ends up with a dot in the center, and then a wall on this side, 2 here and 2 here. And the solution to get all the yellows back on top is this. This is actually a really common move.
Yep. You can do that, then that. Yep.
And then boom, you're back. So
I knew that.
So what cubers like me do, we'll sit around like if I'm in a meeting, if I'm in some boring meeting and what I'm doing is cube solves during the entire meeting, like I'm joining by audio and the person's like, are you listening? Yeah, I'm listening, but I'm actually solving the cube like 50 times during the meeting. So that's what we do.
So you say you're solving a cube. You have the same cube. You solve it 50 times. So then what do you do? Just like put it behind your back and mix it up and stuff so that you don't know, its order, so you can resolve it?
No, you can. It's pretty easy to do random orders. You can just like play around with it. Like I just created this other pattern here, which is this one corner and then these 3.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see that. And then when you discover the patterns, each one is it leads to a different top pattern. And then that's a solution for that one. So, but it's really easy to just mix up randomly. You don't really know what you're doing. You're just messing around and doing things. But there's also drills like this. I'm actually doing the same movement over and over again right here. And it's not even using most of the cube. It's just using part of the cube over and over again.
Now that's kind of a fancy schmancy cube, right?
It's just a really high speed cube with magnets in it. So yeah, that's
okay.
yeah. But it is much better than a standard cube in terms of trying to do things quickly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's for
Yeah,
sure.
that's very cool. That's very cool.
Yeah. It's also, what's funny is it's their large cube. And Todd, it's literally 1 millimeter larger than the standard. It's only,
No kidding.
It's this is 56 millimeters. And then they came out with a large version, which is 57 millimeters.
That's ridiculous.
I'm like, look at these hands. I need like 70 millimeters, you know? I mean, come on.
That's crazy.
Yeah. That's
a CMO who was stoned, I think.
It's like we're going to add 1 millimeter to this cube. Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I was thinking about today's interview with Chris and VPNs and nut tracking and all of that. And I was thinking, could you imagine a couple of stoners watching today's interview, like, and one gets real serious and says, "Bro, do you think that there will ever be a VPN so private that even the user doesn't know what they're doing, bro?"
It's so private, you can't log in. Yeah,
exactly. You just don't know where you're going or where you've been. I don't know.
And then the other guy's like, "That's my life every day."
Don't do drugs, people. You know? Don't do drugs. Well, Mike, if don't trust, verify became a dating slogan, do you think civilization would improve?
Yeah, what's shocking to me is how many people will give up privacy just for convenience. I mentioned Gmail.
Most
everybody.
Most, right.
They just hand over all their information constantly.
Yeah.
Even, to a hospital, to a doctor, to an insurance company. Like, everybody asks for it,
Right.
Like I was at the dentist a couple of months ago. It was like, "Oh, here's a sheet. We need your social security number." I'm like, "No, you don't. You don't need my social. You need my teeth,
Yeah.
Like, you need me to bring my mouth. I brought my mouth and I'm paying cash. You don't need my social security number. What for?"
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I remember when I tried to chop off my finger when I was getting that bunch of bananas with the machete.
Yeah, that was fun.
And I had to rush to the urgent care, which they booted me out of there. So I had to drive to a ER, right, an actual hospital, so that they could do a different kind of shoot. Why am I having a mental
stitching?
break?
Like stitching up?
Not the stitching, the X-ray. The X-ray.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I'll never forget when I went there, and of course I'm just kind of out of my mind, right? I've been losing a lot of blood, and it had been like 2.5 hours since I'd sliced it open. And when I went into admissions, they said, just casually, they're like, "Sir, just put your hand in that machine." They wanted a freaking hand print. There was like, you literally could put your fingers, spread your fingers and put it in. And I went like this, kind of Pavlovian to do it. And I'm like, wait, what do you mean? You don't need that. Yeah. Why do you need that? Why do you need biometrics? But I mean, people out there watching this, they'll know. If you go to a hospital or you go into anywhere these days, they're trying to get you to put your hand in. That
really?
It's not just,
hell no. That's a scene out of Idiocracy. Put your arm in the machine.
Right.
Remember that? Like, this particular individual lacks an ID or whatever, and that's how he got the name. What was the name that he came up with? What was that from Idiocracy?
I can't remember. It's been so long.
No, it was not something. That was his name. Not sure. That was it.
Not sure.
Because they said, do you want to use a machine? So he's like, not sure. And so they gave him the name Not Sure. And then they printed a barcode on his arm, and then the machine let go of his arm. Dude, that's a scene right out of Idiocracy.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Did they ask you to put one tube in your butt and one tube in your mouth, and then did they mix those up? Because that's also from Idiocracy. Just wondering.
Man. Yeah, I must have been distracted watching that movie because I don't remember that.
Okay, you have to go back and rewatch that, at least the hospital scene.
Okay.
Yeah, because
so I was thinking during the interview, I think we've arrived at a point where we need to determine what's scarier, Mike, right? Your browser history, your metadata, or your smart fridge judging your midnight decisions.
Smart fridge judging. Oh man, we are headed for such a dystopian sci-fi civilization here where everything is surveilled. These flock cameras all over the place.
Oh, horrible.
Going up everywhere.
Yeah.
For what? To spy on you, on your vehicle. You're walking around, spying on you, your license plate, getting all your traffic patterns.
Yeah.
I mean, it's starting to feel like a giant Stanford prison experiment or something here.
Oh, my goodness.
You know?
And here's something that doesn't have anything to do with decentralization, except, no, it's really more centralized annoyance. But what about, maybe you live on a ranch, so you don't probably see this, but people watching this will be, in suburbia. These freaking electric bikes that every kid has now, they don't ride normal bikes anywhere. They have these bikes that are very powerful, and they jump curves. They go on the sidewalks. They get in front of your car and everything. They're like little ants out there now.
Oh, really?
And man, I don't know. There has to be so many kids that are getting hurt because they're like little Evil Knievels doing their wheelies down the road and stuff. I mean, I would have loved them. You would have loved them when we were young. So I don't judge, but I'm telling you, man, legally there needs to be something done with them because it's anarchy right now on the road. It's idiocracy on the road.
So the typical HOA won't let you have a food forest, but
exactly,
they'll have like young Mad Max anarchy on the streets.
Exactly, Mike. Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, I'm getting to the point to where I'm going to start throwing food papayas at them.
Ah, man, don't forget they know where you live, so
I know.
You don't want to be the old like get off my lawn guy in the neighborhood. Right.
Yeah, last night at midnight I walked my puppy and I went out and there was literally a gang of kids out there. I mean, on the corner calling each other the N-word, just like laughing and talking and everything. And I walked out and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to walk you down there. And I went back in and I got my German Shepherd and I took him for a walk.
Well, Todd, sooner or later, you have the mindset of a person who won't live in a neighborhood forever.
Believe me. Yeah. But yes, I hear you.
You need your own place because number one, you could have a bigger food forest. Like you need acres. And then secondly, all the animals that you have befriended, right now, they're not necessarily safe in that area because another neighbor could call the animal, control or whatever.
And they have.
Oh, they have. Yeah.
I got a knock on the door from a little ranger who's like, dude, you've been reported.
Reported?
You're feeding raccoons. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm feeding raccoons? I said, and when it happened, it was like
you're a criminal or something for feeding.
Yeah, he was saying we don't feed we don't feed alligators in Florida. We don't feed raccoons. And I just told him, I said, look, there was a mama out there with 2 baby raccoons, and then there was no more mama. And so I went out there and I fed the raccoons some grapes and some oatmeal cookies and stuff just because they had no mama and they were hanging out back there. What would you do? I said, who the heck has the time to be able to report that? I mean, this is just ridiculous. And I said, and I'm also spreading deer corn. And this guy was really cool, though. He said, well, sir, you can spread deer corn. That's fine. And maybe you want to put maybe you wanted to put some grapes and break up the cookies and put it in your deer corn and then spread the deer corn, you can do that. So he was trying to be cool, right? He wasn't a D-I-C-K.
But you're running up against the edge of insanity of neighborhoods.
Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, literally last night, concerned me because it's like midnight. I'm like, there are literally a dozen kids out here at midnight, and we live in a gated community, and I'm like, but these are the kids that lived in the community that have grown up
Yeah.
And now they're older and they have friends. And so their friends now are coming over and they're just like realizing that they can stroll at midnight and stuff. And it just, so yeah, you're right. I need a ranch, Mike.
You need a ranch. Yeah. No HOA rules, no
Oh my
neighbors
God.
playing like, neighborhood Nazi cop.
And then
whatever.
here's the thing. I know this guy who can teach me how to decentralize my solar when I buy that property, right?
Yeah, totally.
And
'cause
maybe this guy knows some people we could talk to about the future of batteries and
it's exactly what we're doing here in the studio. I'm going to be bringing you some really cool stuff in the weeks ahead and months ahead. We've also got some amazing interviews coming up involving that whole industry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be very, very cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, what you find out when you live in a neighborhood is that your neighbors are insane.
They're insane.
They're batshit crazy. And they're also very common. I mean, they are the majority.
Right.
And everything they believe is fake. They wash their clothes in cancer-causing chemicals.
Yep.
They spray all kinds of cancer-causing chemicals on their lawns, and then they wonder why they got cancer.
Yeah.
And then they get mad at you for growing anti-cancer herbs like dandelions in your lawn.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to get out sooner or later.
Yeah.
You could take the raccoons with you, just like capture them all and take
Mike,
them, take them like luggage.
Let's launch the Todd's Ranch GoFundMe.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And by the way, next time the animal control dude shows up, says, have you been feeding the raccoons? Just say, no, Avatod fed the raccoons.
Right.
That wasn't me. That was a mirage. We're doing holographic projection technology.
Yeah. I have a UNA. I own nothing, control everything. but I don't own those cookies. So it wasn't me. It was this entity. I'm stretching it.
No, that's fine. That's totally fine.
We're in the after party.
Also, if you were to take a stroll in your yard, and if you tripped and fell down and like cookies fell out of your pockets, that's not your fault.
Very good point.
Yeah, I was strolling. I tripped over the dandelions. And when I tripped, the cookies and grapes just spilled out all over the place. And by that time, I was like, well, it's too late.
Again. And then now I understand why you don't feed them, because they came out of the woods.
Yeah, they just ate
were
all that
going into
stuff.
my pockets.
That's right. They
One of them
looted
stole
me.
my credit card. I think he's getting some bourbon down at the corner.
Yeah, he signed up for some accounts online. He's getting Amazon deliveries.
Right.
Yeah.
You're right. Right. Grapes and cookies right to the back property.
Totally. The dude hired an Uber the other day. Took a trip across town to, terrorize a chicken.
Oh, goodness. So, all right, Mike. Well, look, we've done it again.
Yes. And by the way, I also inadvertently feed the raccoons occasionally. Over the years, they get a chicken.
Yes.
But that hasn't happened for a long time because of my dogs that run patrol, which is really great. So I try not to feed the raccoons because they want to eat all my chickens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, if we have Vitalis back on, he would say, well, Todd, let me come visit your back property. And then there would be no more raccoons.
Oh,
remember that?
Oh, Daniel. Oh,
Daniel.
Oh, yeah. No, he would have a raccoon cuisine recipe to share.
Oh, he did. He shared that in one of our interviews.
Yes.
He's like
raccoon fritters or whatever.
Raccoon is really good.
Oh, man.
I remember him saying that.
Oh, no, thank you. That's all right.
No, thank you.
I'm not. Okay, enough. Enough of that. All right. Well, look, that's the episode for today. I want to encourage everybody to visit decentralize.tv and just enjoy all the other episodes. I want to remind people that we have a new subset of episodes called Down the Rabbit Hole.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So that's a separate set, and we're going to talk about those later. We've already run one of those, which is Randall Carlson, and we've got some more coming up.
Yeah, and it's going to expand our guest list too, because we are dedicated. This program is dedicated to helping people with decentralized living strategies. And sometimes we'll have a guest on to where it may not fit that perfectly, but the guest was awesome. But do we not publish it on DTV? And that's where Down the Rabbit Hole was born, where we're like, no, let's create a subcategory of DTV. And I think people will really appreciate that. But there's some guardrails on it, which is it doesn't mean that it's going to help you decentralize your life. And it doesn't mean that you and I actually agree with the guest on certain things. But it's also going to open up the possibilities of some really interesting guests, because we don't have to be handcuffed with just decentralized guests. It's just going to be fun.
Stan, hold that thought. I need you to say that again, because you and I need to record that intro also. So let's actually wrap this up right here, right now.
Okay.
We have to have an intro for Down the Rabbit Hole. So,
good.
So we'll do that next, since you just brought it up. All right. Anyway,
okay.
Everybody, thanks for watching today. This is today's episode. Check out all the other episodes at decentralized.tv. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers.
Okay.
Feeling run down? Groovy Bee NAC capsules support your body's natural detox process by boosting glutathione, your master antioxidant. Clean, plant-based, and lab verified. Shop now at healthrangerstore.com.